Today on Creatively Bambi, my top secret red velvet cupcakes. This recipe is so good. This by far is the top selling cupcake for our cupcake company, Savannah Cupcake. And what makes this recipe so great is that not only is it absolutely delicious, but it is so darn easy. That was one of the things that was kind of a requirement in the back of my mind when I started making cupcakes professionally was these recipes have to be easy. If they're not easy, don't want anything to do with it. Now I get to share it with you. Flour, sugar, baking soda, salt, and you may or may not know, but this is unsweetened cocoa powder. It helps to develop that red color that makes a red velvet cupcake what it is. All right, so I'm just gonna take this unsweetened cocoa powder and I'm gonna put this in here with the other dry ingredients. One of the things that makes this recipe so simple is all of the dry ingredients get added all at once. Same thing with all the wet ingredients. All right, next we're gonna put this into our mixer. I personally like to use a whisk attachment. You can use a paddle attachment if you want. The whisk just happens to be my personal favorite. So I'm gonna pour this in, just like that. And I'm just gonna let all these dry ingredients mix together, and I do that on low speed. Please be careful, because if you do it on high speed, you know what's gonna happen. You're gonna have a flour explosion. We don't want that to happen, right? So we're just gonna let all this mix together. Super simple, super easy. You see that? We are gonna combine all of our wet ingredients. I have buttermilk, I have canola oil, 2 eggs. I like for my eggs to be at room temperature. I have white vinegar, vanilla extract, and this is red food dye. All right, your red food dye is obviously what makes red velvet cupcakes red. So just gonna pour that in there. And then I'm gonna mix all of this into, whoops, I'm coming out the top a little bit there, into my dry ingredients. And we're gonna turn on this mixer until it just begins to come together. About 20 to 30 seconds in there. And my tried and true solution to any baking expedition, of course, is my beloved spatula. You have to use this when you're making cupcakes, all right? So we're just gonna give the inside of the bowl a good scrape. Anything that didn't get mixed in on that first go round is now gonna get mixed in because of this. You have to do this. This is definitely a key step. Now I'm just gonna let this mixer go one more time for about 20 to 30 seconds just to make sure all those ingredients are well incorporated, and then we're gonna move on to the next step. It's so easy and you're gonna love it. The next step is we're going to fill our cupcake pans. This one here, it skews all the red dye that I got on my thumb. I'm always good for that. I should have figured it out by now, but I never did. Anyway, all right, cupcake pan lined with cupcake liners here. I'll give you a little secret from professional bakers. Typically, their cupcake liners are what's called grease-proof cupcake liners. I didn't get those today because I wanted you to be able to do this at home, and if you don't have access to these, I want to show you that you can do it just the same way with the regular cupcake liners that you'll get in the grocery store. All right, so you're gonna pop those in there, and I'm gonna take this whisk attachment off. I'm gonna toss that in the sink. So when you make cupcakes, one of the things that you may want to invest in is an ice cream scoop, the kind that has this little lever here. It allows you to get the batter out of the scoop. Makes a big difference, and it guarantees that all your cupcakes are gonna be uniform and be in the same shape. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and fill mine up. I like to, as I'm pulling them out, kind of scrape the scooper against the edge of the bowl, and that kind of levels it off, just like that. All right, and you see the amount of space you have from the liner to the cupcake batter. That's right about where you want yours to be. It's, I'd say, about a ½ inch. All right, don't go too high because then it'll get a little messy in there, and we definitely don't want that to happen. All right, they're gonna be good anyway though, but if they're prettier, somehow that just makes you feel better when you're baking. All right, One of the things I love so much about this kitchen here at the Shea is the fact that this little island here isn't set in the ground. It has little wheels and I can wheel it around, and it makes a big difference whenever we're filming the show and getting ingredients ready and stuff like that. We can just roll this island in and out of the shot and do what we need to do. I really like it. Makes a difference in the kitchen. All right, so I'm just gonna get finished getting these filled up, and I'm gonna fill up a second tray as well. I'm gonna pop these in the oven for 15 to 20 minutes at 350 degrees, and then I'll show you what they look like once they're done. I'll see you in a minute. To make red velvet cupcakes, of course, you need the frosting. That's what makes a red velvet cupcake what it is. It can't just be any old frosting though. It has to be cream cheese frosting. Once again, when I created this recipe, I made sure that it would be done with ease, which is why you're gonna be able to do the same thing. Cream cheese and your butter, they have to be at room temperature. Please don't bother if they're not at room temperature. It's not gonna happen, all right? They can't come right out of the refrigerator and be cold, so they have to be at room temperature, okay? So we're gonna take this cream cheese and our butter, we're gonna put it in the bowl, in the mixing bowl here. And once I get it all in there, we're gonna let it go on medium-high speed for about 30 to 60 seconds. I'm gonna scrape the bowl and then let it go again. We want it to get nice and fluffy, and this method is what's gonna make that happen. All right, so we're scraping the bowl as promised, and we're gonna let it mix one more time. And again, this is just to make sure that everything is well incorporated. Cream cheese and butter is now thoroughly mixed. Next step is to add our powdered sugar. You may hear it called confectioner's sugar. Same difference, all right? So we're gonna add that in. Now this time, you are not gonna let the mixer go for even 1 minute. You're gonna wait until it is just combined. You're gonna give the bowl a quick scrape. That's usually about 10 to 15 seconds, and then you're gonna let it go one more time. We also are going to add in our vanilla extract. If you wanna kick it up a notch, you can get what's called vanilla bean paste. Add a teaspoon of that instead of this. It's so good. It brings on even a more natural vanilla flavor, or you can add in just the scraping of the inside of a vanilla bean. In goes our powdered sugar. Let's get all that in there. And our vanilla extract. We're gonna let it go for about 15 to 20 seconds. Once that's done, scrape the bowl another 15 to 20 seconds. You might have to scrape the bowl again, all right? Here we go. Low speed, right? Anytime you add anything powdery to your mixer, don't turn that speed up on high or you'll have a big mess, all right? I'm gonna put this up just a little more to maybe medium speed, and that's it. Now we're gonna scrape the bowl. Now, if you are ever making your frosting and it seems like it's too thick, just add about a tablespoon of milk or cream or half and half, whatever you have on hand, and that'll loosen it up a little bit. And if you need to loosen it up a little bit more, then add another tablespoon. Just don't start adding in a lot, because remember, you can always add more, but you can never take it out once it's in there. All right, got all that off of our whisk. Set that aside. Now, the next step is piping the frosting onto the cupcakes. If you don't have this at home, you can of course use a zippered baggie, and I actually did that for another Creatively Bambi segment, which was deviled eggs, and I'll show you on that segment how you pipe from a baggie onto whatever it is you're piping onto. It's a really easy process if you don't have this at home. So if you do decide to use the method that I like to use, which is the piping bag, you're gonna need 3 different pieces to do this, which is the piping bag, your coupler, which is what is inside the bag and on the outside, and that is to hold your tip. The tip size that I like to use is a 1A, and you can give that a quick internet search or go to your local craft store and you'll probably be able to find the 1A tip. The reason I like to use it is because it allows the frosting to come out in kind of a bigger poof, kind of that cloud effect that I like for my cupcakes that I do at home and professionally to have. All right, to fill your piping bag, you're gonna roll your top over just like this. This one's kind of beat up. You can see it's had a lot of love and affection, but that doesn't make a difference. All right, so we're gonna scoop out our frosting here. You hold your bag this way and you just fill it up, all right? You don't wanna go too high because you're gonna actually create a bit of a handle at the top of the bag. So you only wanna fill it up some of the way. It's a little awkward at first, but once you get it going, you'll get the hang of it and it's super easy. No big deal. And the fun thing about doing this is, if you mess up on a cupcake, you just scrape the frosting off and you start all over again, and no one will ever know that at one point it was a whole big mess, you know? It's that simple. All right, we're done with that. Next step, this is the fun part. This is what I like so much about making cupcakes, is being done. Not necessarily because it's done, but because you get to see how pretty it is at the end. You're gonna start in the middle of your cupcake, and you're gonna make a circle, and then you're gonna come back to the middle, like that. And I like to give it a little quick swirl at the top. All right, it's that simple. See there? And you can do this at home. Sometimes it takes a little bit of practice, but you'll get the hang of it. And this is all that's done. When you see cupcakes at these stores sold for $3 and $4 and $5 a cupcake, this is all they're doing, all right? And you can do the exact same thing. I'm glad you're learning how to do it. And you can do this with any kind of frosting, any kind of cupcake. We're gonna be showing you all kinds of different recipes on Creatively Bambi, so you could do this and then take it to dinner or give them as a gift. People are gonna love it. Or when they come over and visit and you pull this out, wow, they are going to love it. All right, now, the other thing that makes a cupcake is the presentation, right? And with a red velvet cupcake, of course, you gotta have those red sprinkles. All right, so what I like to do is I like to use sprinkles let me wipe my hands off here. I like to use not just red sprinkles, but white ones as well. And this is actually what's called sparkling sugar. You can use red and white sprinkles though, or just red, whatever you want, or you can use maybe some of the gel topping and put your own little design on there. This for me is what's the easiest. The key to doing this though is you need to do it as soon as your cupcakes are frosted. If you wait even 5 minutes, that frosting will get a top layer on it that dries, and then you'll put your sprinkles on and they'll just bounce right off. They won't stick very well. So do it as soon as you're done. All right, and this is it right here. This is all it takes. Isn't that gorgeous? Isn't it pretty? And I'll tell you, red velvet cupcakes, by far the #1 seller for Savannah Cupcake, by far. And I didn't really grow up on these, but once I learned how to make them, I found out that everybody loves them. They love them, and they're so easy to make. I just can remember thinking on so many different occasions, really? What's the big deal? But I feel like that because it's so darn easy to do. But it's easy for you too. Now you know how to do it. Red velvet cupcakes. Make sure you try these and let me know how they turn out. Thanks for checking in with me today. I'll see you next time.